Motorboats and power cruisers come in many different types of hull. The first hull that we're going to discuss here is the full displacement hull. Now, the full displacement hull is used normally on larger boats and boats that are going to go a long way offshore. Now, these might include military cruisers or fishing boats. Now, the reason for this is that they can be very, very heavy, and the efficiency of the engines, even if it's a heavy boat, is very good when you have a displacement hull. However, the maximum speed of the boat is limited because the boat has to push huge amounts of water out of the way. But that also means that the weight can be used to give excellent seagoing capabilities to force its way through waves and retain a relatively stable platform. Now, the next type of boat considered here is the semi-displacement hull. Now, a semi-displacement hull obviously is halfway between a full displacement hull and a planing hull. The advantages of a semi-displacement hull is you can have the heavy boat weight and you can also have the good seagoing capabilities of a displacement boat whilst being able to achieve a higher speed similar to that which can be achieved by a planing vessel. So it's a very efficient boat, but it's not as efficient as a full displacement boat, but it does allow a much faster hull speed than you would achieve with a displacement boat. But this comes at the price of requiring a lot more power in order to get the boat to those higher speeds. The next type of boat considered here is the full planing hull. Now, the full planing hull means that the boat actually rides up on top of the water, so there is little of the hull in contact with the water, therefore there is minimal resistance with the water. This ensures that the boat can achieve very high speeds, much higher than a displacement hull and higher than a semi-displacement hull. This comes at a cost in that the engine is a lot less efficient and needs a lot more power to achieve the high speeds that are required. It therefore uses a lot more fuel. But the boat is significantly faster. It has a V-shaped hull in this particular picture, which is used to slice through the waves so that the boat retains a relatively stable platform as it travels through rough seas. Now, the boat that you can see in this picture is something called a RIB. Now, a RIB, R-I-B, stands for Rigid Inflatable Boat. A RIB is a type of planing hull, but it's extremely efficient compared to other solid kind of hulled boats. The reason for that is that a lot of the construction is made up with an inflatable baffle that goes all the way around the outside of the boat. Now, this inflatable structure combined with the lightweight glass fibre hull means that the entire boat is very, very lightweight. The skirt that runs around the outside is also an excellent stability controller. So if the boat does list slightly, the inflatable hull hits the water, which rewrites the boat. It gives very good seagoing capabilities. It's lightweight, so it's very efficient. However, rigid inflatable boats are normally open boats, and obviously you have a reduced protection from the weather in these kind of boats. The boat that you can see in this particular image is the flat-hulled boat. Now, it's extremely good at getting up onto the plane, so it can pull most of the hull of the boat out of the water. It's very efficient and you can achieve planing with a relatively low engine power. However, the flat hull means that the boat cannot cope with particularly large seas. In fact, most flat-bottom boats of this type are used on inland waters, lakes and relatively small estuary areas. The boat that you see in the picture here is something called a cathedral hull. Now, in a cathedral hull, you have basically three parts of the hull in contact with the water. Now, the advantages of this type of hull is that you get more of a stable platform when the boat is stationary. So if you step off the centre of the boat, then the boat can remain floating parallel to the water. The reason for this is that you have the extra hulls outside of the main V in the middle. In addition, you get significant water pressure building up between the hulls, which helps to raise the boat up out of the water and helps the boat get onto the plane, which makes the boat more efficient. The next type of boat we're considering here is the catamaran, or the powered catamaran. Now, a catamaran is a very efficient type of boat in that it has two hulls, which helps to get the boat up onto the plane. So it helps the boat to ride on top of the water. And one of the big advantages of a catamaran is that it has two hulls to help cut through large waves. And because it has quite a large footprint sitting on the water, it has very good seagoing capabilities when cutting through very large waves. So you get a boat which is a full planing hull, but also has the characteristics of a displacement hull in that it can ride through very large seas very, very efficiently. It also has the advantage of being able to dry out on the seabed and remain upright. Now this video shows two kinds of boats. You have the semi-displacement hull and you have the planing hull. Now you can see from the video that the semi-displacement hull is cutting through the waves nicely, but it's not as fast as the planing boat. But the disadvantage of the planing boat is that you get a lot more movement, a lot more jumping over the waves. It's more of a uncomfortable, rougher ride, but yes, you get a higher speed. Now I hope you've enjoyed this week's videos, and I hope that you can join us next week for a video on the buying process.